Hey everybody, I'm gonna go ahead and answer my Ask Me Anything questions. I'm kind of an awkward egg, so please excuse that ahead of time. um, anyway, I just wanted to thank you guys who all sent me questions, and some of them gave me a good chuckle, so I'm excited to answer some of these. So I'm just gonna jump right into it. Okay, so my first question is from Sokoid, and they asked, "Are you as dank as Guy and Nick?" And pretty straightforward answer: no. I am not dank at all. I try, but I don't succeed very well. Um, then next I have Dirty Levi, who asked, they have a two-part question. Which scene and which arc in season 2 am I most looking forward to? Kind of hard question to answer for the most part, but chapter 50 is a definite given, because my beautiful Mikasa gets her shining moment in that. And then Eren punching the Titan, and it's just, I love it. I'm really excited to see that animated. I'm also really looking forward to chapter 58, which is when Levi is against the Interior Military Police Brigade, and it's just, yeah, I'm really... Those two scenes are the ones I'm really bracing myself for the most, but there are plenty of other ones that I'm also really looking forward to, like Emir's Titan reveal and Reiner and Bertolt's Titan reveal, and, you know, I'm just really excited for all of that. Which arc? I kind of have a hard time answering this one because the Clash of the Titans arc and the Uprising arc are my two favorite arcs in the entire series. I feel like I'm a little more inclined to go with Clash of the Titans arc just because there's so much that happens and so many cool reveals and so many cool like developments that happen. But the Uprising arc also has really amazing character development, especially for like Erwin. We get to learn more about Erwin. Historia just becomes a badass. And I love it. And then, you know, Eren just goes through so much shit, which I'm going to be really sad to look at. But I think overall though I'm leaning towards the Clash of the Titans arc just because there's going to be a lot more action, a lot more like plot twisty, mind blowing things that happen. But yeah, so that's going to have to be my answer. So like chapter 50, chapter 58, those are the two scenes I'm looking forward to the most. And then Clash of the Titans arc would be the one that I'm really looking forward to. My next question is from Rosa Cherry. Sorry if I'm pronouncing anything wrong, by the way. If you had to choose one favorite character from any series, who would it be and why? I feel like in the grand scope, this is kind of a hard question to answer because I like a lot of different characters from things. But right now, I'm just kind of going to go with what my heart is telling me, and I'm inclined to say Mikasa, mainly because I find her to be very relatable. You know, she wants to be, you know, just an ordinary girl with an ordinary life. But she sacrifices that for this person that she cares about so much. And, you know, I remember seeing a post on Tumblr a while back that she's, you know, basically willing to slay whatever gets in her way in order to achieve just this ordinary life. And I think that's, I don't know, kind of cool. But she's such a well-developed character, and I really wish Isayama would do more with her because, you know, in the last arc, she's been getting kind of nerfed so that other characters can shine, which is, you know, it's okay. But she hasn't even had very many lines. She's very quiet, which, you know, is her character. But at the same time, you know, it's just one of those things. But, yeah, I think, you know, her character development has been very good. And I really relate to her. You know, I'm quiet. I like to live an ordinary life. I don't need anything extraordinary in my life. You know, she has a tendency to, you know, hold grudges. I can do that. You know, like with her and Annie, they have their little thing. You know, I've had that in the past, so I get it. And you know, and I find her to be very realistic. You know, she's been through some stuff that's changed who she, you know, how she is. Like from that little girl to who she is now. She's not the same after what happened to her parents. And you know, it just. Her devotion to somebody else other than herself is something I also can just relate to very much, to a detrimental degree actually, because I've been there, I've done that. So I'm just kind of curious, you know, I'm excited to see how she grows, what's going to happen. You know, Isayama has hinted at them separating, and I'm just kind of curious where her character is going to end up. But yeah, for the sake of the question, no, I'd have to go with Mikasa because I love her. She's my daughter. I relate to her. I love her. And then my next question is from Nakamatu. Is there anything that I hope or want to happen in the next couple of chapters? I don't know. Chapter 91 kind of fucked me up because I wasn't expecting to get another point of view. And I have learned, with the Uprising arc, I think I used to make a lot of predictions, and I learned my lesson. Don't make predictions because they're going to be wrong. But what I'm hoping that, what I want to happen, I really would like to go back to, our cast that we're familiar with. Not that I mind the new characters, it's just that I'm not attached to them, and I don't really want to get attached to them, if I'm being honest, just because it's so late in the game, and I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I have very mixed feelings about what Isayama did in Chapter 91. Very mixed feelings. So I'm kind of hoping we'll get back to the main cast and see if and how they look different. I'm expecting Eren to look a lot more ragged. And, it would be good to have it cleared up whether or not there actually was a time skip, because I feel like some people are very confused about that, and I have had to stop and think about it a couple of times. I do believe there was the time skip, but maybe not. Maybe we are all wrong. I don't know. But, it would be cool, it'd be cool if we got a chance to see what Armin looked like with his new Titan form. Just knowing what's going on with the people in the walls. Have they been working on, building boats or, trying to come up with good weapons to fight other humans with? Because obviously, I think the 3D maneuver gear at this point is kind of moot, and they're not going to really use it anymore. I don't know. Maybe they will. I don't know. I hope they do, because I love the 3D maneuver gear, but I don't know. So I'm not really sure exactly what I want to happen. I just know I want to see my babies again. And, maybe a little more lore would be cool. It's kind of cool seeing what's going on with Marley's side of the struggle, even though they're dicks. Or seeing more of Reiner, or, hey, what's going on with Annie? That would be nice. I feel like that's just a lost cause at this point. But yeah, just hopefully we just go back to our main cast, because I don't mind the new characters, but they're not the ones I'm attached to. Yeah. So Tough as Wolves asks, do you think Ymir is alive? I don't know. I have seen some people, analysis about how she's definitely alive because her Titan wasn't mentioned in the latest chapter, and I think I saw something. I know I reblogged it, but I know I saw something about in the original Japanese text how there's kind of an implication that the transfer of the Titan power is more of a ceremonial thing. So it's possible that maybe they have just been holding Ymir, and they're waiting until this ceremony to give her power to a new warrior or something. But she also just wasn't mentioned at all. It's all about, who's going to inherit the Armor Titan and the Beast Titan. Nothing about Ymir's Titan, whatever the official name for it is. I don't know. I want to believe that she is alive because I feel like her story is not finished, and that bugs me. But I think she deserves better than an off-screen death. So I'm kind of hoping that she is alive, and their whole ceremony is just gonna get wrecked, and she'll get saved, until her time's up, I guess, and we'll get to see her again, because I miss her. I would really love to see Ymir. I need her to reunite with Historia. I won't be able to sleep at night if that never happens. I'm not sure, but I'm inclined to believe she might be. I'm trying to be optimistic here. And then I got in a question from Anonymous. Considering Eren's borderline murderous tendencies and sudden outbursts of anger, do you think it's possible he suffers from some sort of mental disease, such as being a high-functioning psychopath? No. I'm not a huge fan of diagnosing fictional characters with mental disorders anyway. No. The thing when he was 9 and he went to go save Mikasa from the kidnappers or the traffickers or whatever. I feel like that was justified. He was justifiably angry. He did what he felt that he had to do in order to save her life, and which I think was great because he didn't even know who she was. He just was so intent on saving her because what happened to her was so horrible that he could just not stand for it. He couldn't stand for it. Other than that, though, I mean, he doesn't really... I don't see him having murderous tendencies. I know when he initially transformed into a Titan in the Trost arc, he was all about, like, kill them all, but that was more towards the Titans, which is also at that point in time was a justified anger because they're oppressed by the Titans. They can't see the world because of the Titans. It's a justifiable anger. I wouldn't call it murderous tendencies. I think it's just more of he didn't even see them as human. There are these monsters that needed to be eradicated so that he could live his life the way he wants to. So the humanity could be free and, thrive. I wouldn't call him a psychopath. He's toned down a lot since the first season of the anime aired. Where he's at now in the manga, I think he really struggles with the idea that he might have to kill other people to obtain his freedom. I think that now that it's not a Titan versus human issue, it's a human versus human issue. I think he's really struggling with what the stakes are to achieve that freedom or whether or not he can actually achieve it. I think that he does not want to have to kill people. It's not about Titan. I don't even think he's angry with Titans anymore. I think he's sympathetic towards them because they're his people. So no, my answer is no. I don't think he's a psychopath. I think that's pretty heavy diagnosis to give a character like Eren. And then another anonymous asked, not really a question. As much as I'm extremely excited about season 2, I'm still kind of disappointed there's still people who bash on the show saying that the show sucks and no one cares about it anymore. Misses the hype for SNK. Hoping that with season 2 it's going to bring new fans since we lost a lot. Wants SNK to break the internet and take over the world. I miss those days too, Anon. I joined pretty late in the fandom. The anime was still airing, but I think I had joined like right after episode 24 came up. So they had one episode left when I decided to watch it finally. I just remember seeing it all over the place, and I finally hit a breaking point after so many months. I'm like, I gotta watch this because obviously it's a big deal. And I miss all of the memes and the crack and just people having so much fun with it, and the fan art, the gift sets, everything. I miss all of it, and I am really hoping that with season 2 that we'll see a resurgence of all of that. I'm trying not to get my hopes up too high, though, because there's a lot of people who watched the anime in 2013 who aren't going to return to it, either because they dislike where the story went or have some issues with Isayama as a person, which I'm not going to get into. But I do think that it will, at the very least, bring us some new fans, and I'm looking forward to seeing, newcomers come in and enjoy the series, and should be fun because those new people will have 2 seasons that they'll be able to marathon through, unlike us who only had the 1 season and now we're sick of seeing it. So I'm with you, Anon. I miss those days. I hope they come back. Another Anon just says, my blog looks really amazing. Thank you very much. I kind of fixate on how my blog looks more than I should. So when I get compliments like that, it's very nice. Thank you. And then, free Annie 2K17. That is all I want in life. Same. Same, Anon. Same. I miss Annie. Oh my god. It's ridiculous. I physically pain over Annie Leonhardt, like, many days out of the week. I will head this campaign. Let's get Annie out of the damn crystal. Yeah. And then Kyojin of Bravios, asks, what do you think of Mikasa's character development so far? I kind of already covered this earlier, but overall I think she's had very good character development and very realistic because she has had times where she has regressed. And a lot of people, myself included at some point, have complained about that, but it's a good thing because it makes her realistic. And, she went from, that cute little girl to the kind of traumatized, quiet girl who just is very devoted to Eren. Her thing at the very beginning of the series was, her devotion to Aaron pretty much defined her. And I think we've reached a point in the series where that's no longer true. Which there's nothing wrong with her devotion to Aaron, especially since now we know that her Ackerman bloodline, has the liege thing going on where they get attached to a certain person, and that person is the one who is able to allow them to use their power to the fullest potential. So now it's understandable even more why Mikasa is so, defined by her devotion to Eren, because not only did he save her life, but now he's the person she's got this like little Ackerman bond with. But even though, despite that, she has developed beyond that, I think. You go from the Trost arc where she thought she lost him, she thought he was dead, and she was, initially very shocked and didn't want to keep living anymore. But, that turned around very fast, and she said, no, fuck this. I'm going to keep living, because if I die, those memories of you are going to go with me, and I'm going to keep moving forward, and I'm going to keep living by what you taught me, that you've got to fight in order to keep surviving. So I really love that scene with her. It still makes me cry, to be honest. And then, beyond that, her attachment to Eren is obviously still there. Her devotion is obviously still there, but she's branched out. She talks to other people. Sometimes. Like watching her save Historia in the race cave. I really liked that because she didn't just go straight to Eren. She went to Historia. She trusted Levi and the others to take care of Eren, and that was huge. That was a huge deal when that chapter came out. A lot of Mikasa fans were really happy about that development, which is funny since she's so defined by her devotion to Eren, but it was one of those like, hey, look, she's not all about Eren. She does care about other people. So that was really nice. And her moment in the Clash arc where she pretty much admits to herself that all she wants is to be with Eren. She admits that, and then, just going forward, she thanks him for everything that he did for her, and I feel like that was a good point where her and Eren's relationship kind of took a turn. She has started to, I think, trust him better, to take care of himself instead of thinking that he needs to have her with him all the time. That's very, I think, prominent in the Uprising arc, too, where she is trusting more people to help her take care of Eren instead of just thinking that she's the only one who can do that, or that he needs to have her with him or with her all the time. So yeah, I think in terms of that, she's developed very well, and like I said earlier, it's kind of sad that Isayama has kind of put a hold on her character development to work on the other characters, which it's fine because you have to find a balance. She can't be the only one with focus, obviously, but I'm hoping to see her develop more in the next arc. I think her development's been really, really great, even if it's very subtle. Yeah, I think her character development has been spectacular. I love it. Okay, and the next I have Peachy Mess asks, could you tell me, if you want, what your 3 most favorite things about Armin are? Also, if you would take part in a reality show, which one would it be? Okay, so for the first question, 3 favorite things about Armin. So I'm gonna start with the superficial and go with his adorable little button nose. I just want to boop it every time I see him. It's so cute. It's so cute. As far as other things I like about Armin, he is such a well-developed character. I, as a Mikasa fan, am envious of all of the focus and good character development that Armin has gotten. He went from just this weak, very self-conscious, low self-esteem, and those traits are still there, but they're not as dominant anymore. He's proven himself so many times, despite how little he tends to think of himself, he comes up with these just amazing ways to get out of certain situations. He is so smart. He is ridiculously smart, little child prodigy trope. I personally like that trope just because, I like it. I love his character development. He's gone from being that little self-esteem to he was willing to kill a person to save Jean's life, and then suffered for it for a little bit, but managed to get over it once Levi told him, hey, look, Jean's alive because of what you did, so don't wallow in it. You know, I feel like that was a good point for his character to develop. More of the, you know, him talking about how he needs, you know, how in order to, you know, fight monsters, you got to sacrifice your humanity. He was able to do that when it really came down to it. But I think that recently he's been kind of presented with the idea that that's not really easy to do, and I don't know if he's sure he can do it or if other people can do it. So yeah, I don't know. He has so much character development. It's really hard for me to like compact it into a short time. But that's definitely one of my favorite things about Armin. So like I've got his boopable nose and his character development. And I just also love how just what a nice person he is. Like I don't think you ever see Armin be mean to anybody at any point in the series, except for like, you know, like with Bertolt and Reiner, like how he, you know, lies to Bertolt about Annie being tortured or whatever, but I don't think he felt good about it. I think it's just that he felt like he needed to do something to get things going. So, you know, unless he really, really has to be mean, he's just not. He's just such a nice person and very giving, very open, you know. He cares about a lot of people. I just really love that quality about him. I wish I could be more like that. He's just, yeah, he's a very unproblematic character, I guess. I don't know how else to put it. So it's I don't know. It's nice, you know, when you have all these other people who have their little conflicts. You know, Armin doesn't tend to have too many with the rest of the cast. So, you know, it's kind of a contrast to the tone of the series, I think, sometimes, and I do like that. If I the reality show question, I don't know. I don't watch reality shows. It's been a long time since I have. I don't know. Can I be in one where there's like eating good food involved? I love food, so like you know, a food reality show. Is there such a thing? Would be cool. Do those count? You know, where you have like Man versus Food, where he goes around and eats, you know, all these really good, like, you know, challenges and stuff. I would be that guy. Can I? That's the answer to my question. If I could, I'd be the Man versus Food guy. Okay. Mom Taku asks, who do you think will survive the series? And as an alternate question, who is the next to die? I don't know. As far as survival goes, I think Armin is the one I'm the most solid on, just because he's been presented as the narrator of this story, which isn't necessarily, you know, a legitimate reason for a character to survive. He could be his voice. You know, they just wanted his voice actors to do it. I don't know, but I have a feeling he's gonna survive, though. It just kind of comes off like that. As far as anybody else, you know, my like potentials would be like Mikasa and maybe Levi. I don't think Eren's going to live to the end. I could see, you know, Mikasa's whole thing is about having to let go of the people she loves, you know. So I can see her surviving at the end, even though it's going to be painful for her. Levi, I'm wavering on because I think he could survive just because he's really strong and he's all about that, like, I'm going to keep living thing. But at the same time, you know, Isayama likes to make us cry. So I don't know. I almost think it'd be really tragic for Levi to live after all these people have died around him. But then again, that's part of the point, is it would be very tragic. And I'm into that kind of thing. So I wouldn't mind. As far as who is next to die, I don't know. I'm horrible at predicting things. I mean, if this whole Titan transfer thing goes through, I'd be inclined to just go with Reiner, but I don't know if that's going to go through. I kind of hope it doesn't, because I like Reiner, and I want his story to not be done yet. Otherwise, you know, I could just default to either Connie or Sasha. They just haven't had much prominence anymore. You know, Connie's got the little conflict with the Beast Titan, so I don't know. I don't know, because now Levi has the conflict with the Beast Titan, too, which I think will take precedence over Connie's conflict with him. I don't know, but, you know, those are kind of the knee-jerk reactions of who's going to die now. Oh, it's Connie or Sasha, obviously. But then they continue to survive. So I don't know how to answer that question, because I'm just not really sure, and I kind of have gotten much more timid about predicting things. But yeah, Armin is definitely going to live. That one I'm solid on. Anonymous asks, do you think that season 2 is going to diverge from the manga? And if you do, where do you think it will diverge the most? I think based on the interviews and everything that I have read so far and seen, I don't think they'll be doing that. They seem pretty intent on sticking with the source content. I know that they had mentioned something about Isayama wanting to add in some scenes where he couldn't in the manga, and there's probably going to be filler. Filler is inevitable, but I don't think that's going to be anything that I would say would diverge from the story. I'm not too worried about it. If anything, I think the only changes they'll make will be like with some action sequences, like when they fight the flaming chicken titan, Rod's abomination of a titan. That was extremely anticlimactic in the manga. I don't know anybody who is satisfied with how that went down. So, if we're going to talk about divergence, I would hope that maybe they diverge a little bit there, but reel it back in, in the next season, kind of like what they did with season 1, where, episode 25, episode 24 and 25, really, they pretty much changed how the whole Annie versus Eren conflict went down. But it worked because it was more theatrical than what we were given in the manga, even though I prefer the manga version of that scene. The anime one was much more action-based and, theatrical. That's the only word I can really think of. So I'm kind of hoping something similar like that happens with the Rod Titan conflict, just because in the manga it was just not good. I didn't like it. I felt like there should have been more to it than what was on the paper. So no, I don't think it's going to diverge, but there are a couple of scenes here and there where I wouldn't mind it if the anime kind of amps it up or switches it up a little bit. A guy in love with Aramika asks, what's it like to be part of the metafam? Are you an active guy or do you prefer it sideways? So inside jokes, I guess. I kind of feel like I was dragged into the metafam thing, but I'm not complaining. So we have a little Discord chat, and that's kind of fun. I don't talk a lot in it, but it's fun watching you guys talk. And eventually I'm sure I'll open up a little more and be more involved in that. Are you an active guy? No, I am not Team Sausage. If that's what we're going for, I'm not Team Sausage. But do you prefer it sideways? No comment. No comment. Guy in love with Aramika asks again. Rank the main arcs from worst to best and cite your favorite moment from each, please. So this is hard to choose what my favorite is because I really love Clash of the Titans and the Uprising arc equally. But for the sake of the questions, I'm going to go with Clash of the Titans arc as first. Uprising arc is the second. I think I'm going to put the female Titan arc as the third, and then the Shiganshina arc, the Return to Shiganshina arc will be fourth, Trust will be fifth, and then I kind of just lumped the Fall of Shiganshina and the Trainee arc kind of in the same area, so that would be the last, just because it's so early in the series and I just don't care about it anymore. Cite your favorite moment. Clash of the Titans, I think this is an obvious one. Chapter 50. I've already mentioned it a couple times just in my ask alone, or this thing alone. Definitely the scene with Mikasa and Eren where she thanks him for everything he's done for her, and he punches the Titan and shit goes down. And then Ymir and Historia and their little angsty moment that follows up on that. And I just really the entirety of Chapter 50, because I think to this day it is still the best written chapter in the series. It's just the way that it was presented and everything that happened, and just the emotional impact of so many things that happened in that chapter is just a really good peak point of the series to me. And I'm gonna cry when I see it animated. I am going to sob like a bitch. So yeah, that one's definitely my favorite moment. That's just my favorite moment in the whole series altogether. Uprising arc, again, chapter 58 with Levi versus the interior, MPs. That's just more of a I have a boner for Levi, okay, so it's just one of those things where, oh, look at this guy I'm in love with. this action scene that he's in, and I'm just really looking forward to that. Kenny is really cool. And the whole bar, and when they're in the bar with the little eeky bartender, I'm really looking forward to that. A favorite moment from I guess I did the female Titan arc next. That one would be the Eren versus Annie fight, I think, in the forest, because there's, I don't know, I just like the way it happens, the squad dies, and that's really emotional, and Eren gets mad, and then they fight, and I like Eren and Annie's relationship. I ship them, so that's one of those things where it's like really angsty, especially when Eren kind of realizes right before Annie wins the fight, basically like, oh my god, this is Annie. And then he denies it later, of course, because he doesn't want to believe that. And then, right when that happens, there's Mikasa swooping in to save her man. And sees him getting taken away, and just her going after Annie and just screaming, give him back. And it just, I really love that in the dub, to be honest. I really love how her English voice actor handled that scene. I actually prefer that one over the Japanese, even though I prefer watching the whole series in Japanese better. But yeah, that whole and then Levi, comes in, swoops Mikasa so she doesn't get killed, and then the whole Levi versus Annie thing, which is my aesthetic. So just that kind of whole clump there, I love it. I love it. And then what did I put next? The Return to Shiganshina arc. Not the Serum Bowl. I'm not sure. Probably when Armin and Bertolt are on the roof talking, and Bertolt's being really not specific, of course, painfully, about what's going on, and then Mikasa comes up behind him when she thinks he's going to move in on Armin, and that whole conflict there, and I don't know, I really like that scene. I'm not explaining it very well, but that one I'm looking forward to seeing animated someday in the distant future, in like 2030. That's probably my favorite moment from that arc. I also really do love the one with Levi and Erwin. Where Erwin's just really angsting over not being able to get to that basement, even though it's literally right on the other side of the wall. And Levi is just like, Erwin, it's fine. Let it go. Send your soldiers to hell. There's something really powerful in that, and that whole scene between them really left me appreciating their relationship a lot more than I had previously, which unfortunately got overshadowed by this Serum Bowl drama. But that was nice for me as someone who has struggled a bit with fandom and stuff. So yeah, one of those two scenes would easily be my favorite for the Return to Shiganshina arc. And sorry, but I'm actually going to bounce back to the Uprising here. Historia throwing Rod over her shoulder and just being like, hell no, I'm not doing what you want. I don't know why I forgot about that scene, but that would be up there with Chapter 58 easily, because Historia is amazing. And before the Uprising arc, I didn't think much of her character, and that whole conflict just made me fall in love with her. I love her. And then, so bouncing back, so I just did Return to Shiganshina arc, and then I think after that was Trost arc. That one easily is Mikasa, after she thinks Eren has died, she wants to, she's done, and then that Titan goes to get her, and she starts struggling, just the whole, why am I struggling thing, I start tearing up. I start tearing up every time I watch that, and, when she's finally like, I'm gonna keep living, and gets her little blade, and I just really love that scene, and I actually prefer it the way they did it in the anime, with Counterattack Mankind playing in the background, and it just makes me want to cry. Easily my favorite scene from the Trost arc, and then just I guess in the other arcs, it's hard to pick anything really. The earliest arcs I don't really care about that much. For the Fall of Shiganshina arc, when Carla gets eaten, just because it's very sad, and that's kind of what got me hooked initially. It was because I was like, what the fuck, why am I crying? It's only episode 1 when I watched it. So yeah, that scene's very sad, so I'd have to go with that for that. And like with the trainee arc, probably, this is a manga only scene, but it would be when Annie offers to teach Eren her moves, because she smiles, and it's just cute, and I'm very sad that they omitted that from the anime. And it'd be nice if they included that in season 2, but I can't imagine where they would put it. So that one would be my favorite from the trainee arc. But yeah, that would be my answer for those. Okay, and then my next question, what do you think about Mobuhan? So that's the pairing of Moblit and Hanji. For those who aren't as familiar, Moblit is Hanji's little sidekick in her squad, the one who's yelling at her in the episode 15 when, you know, she's like with the Titans. He's like, Hanji, get away, you're gonna get eaten. I love Mobuhan. I think out of all the Hanji ships, that one would be either like my first or second favorite for them. Moblit is great. He'll definitely get more not focus, but you'll see him more with season 2. And I like how, like, when she goes to interrogate the MP is about Nick's death, that he steps in and, you know, basically is trying to protect her from Sanes when he's getting really like aggressive with her, and then just, you know, they're just, you don't see one without the other, and I really love Mobuhan. I don't have a whole lot to gush about, but it's, oh man, it's so angsty because he's the one who saves her when Bertolt activates his Titan and the whole like atomic bomb reference, basically, you know, and he saves her, and oh god, I'm getting emotional thinking about it. I love Mobuhan. It's adorable. I'm so sad that Moblit is not around anymore. And then all my ships are SNKing. I love your URL, by the way. Are you happy with how the story is progressing? If not, what are things you would like to be changed? I am neutral. It's not going where I thought it would, you know, a long time ago. When I started reading the manga was, I think when chapter 51 came out was when I decided to start marathon reading through the manga. And I just, you know, at that point in time, didn't see it getting to where it is now. I had always anticipated that people were alive outside of the walls, obviously because of the, you know, Reiner, Bertolt, and Annie. We're obviously not from the inside. You know, I had always kind of figured Grisha was probably from the outside since he seems to know something. So I'm kind of glad that at least that part, you know, is a thing, because I was, you know, expecting that and hoping for that. But I don't know. You know, it started with the Return to Shiganshina arc, really, where I started to be like, oh, this isn't going where I had hoped it would go. You know, I've made a lot of posts in the past about how, like, oh, Levi riding in on Titan Aaron's shoulder in a battle, like, that would be so cool. I don't see that happening now. I don't see it happening. Or, you know, just general developments between a lot of the characters and, like, the relationships that they have with each other, and I was really looking forward to. I just don't see happening. Like, I thought for sure Annie would be back in the picture by now. You know, I was expecting her to be back at some point in the last arc, until, you know, before the arc actually was starting to get released. You know, once the Uprising arc ended, I'm like, okay, so we tackle Annie next, right? Because she deserves to come back. She needs to come back. She still has a story. And that didn't happen. And I'm still twiddling my thumbs over here waiting for Annie to have any kind of relevance again. It's hard for me to see that happening, because I was expecting her to get back in the picture a lot sooner and have a redemption arc, because I think she's a prime candidate for that. So, you know, if there's anything I would change, it would be giving Annie some relevance again, like yesteryear. I don't know what I would really change, though. You know, a lot of things are happening that I wasn't anticipating. But at the same time, that's kind of exciting, because that means the story isn't as predictable as I initially thought it would be. I don't know what I would change. The serum bowl would not have been a thing. I was wary of that serum the instant Kenny gave it to Levi. That would not have been a thing. Just straightforward. You know, Erwin would still be here. There wouldn't be this, you know, you still feel the effects of what that did to the fandom and to the series. Like, you still feel that. And I don't like it. So if there was anything that I could change, it would be getting rid of that. You know, either, you know, Armin and Erwin could have died honorably, or they wouldn't have been forced into that whole dramatic thing. I felt like it was very forced drama, and I could have done without it. And yeah, like I said, you still feel it in the fandom. Like there's the permanent divide there, I think, that won't be closed again. But yeah, I can't think of anything else. Maybe in chapter 91 we wouldn't have just started getting random characters thrown at us, but it's fine. I'm over that for the most part at this point. Yeah. And then Leaping Titan asks, favorite song of the SNK soundtrack, favorite Sawano song overall. The answer to both of those questions would be Counterattack Mankind. I'm very biased toward that song. I listen to it like every day. There's just something about it that makes me feel uplifted and then badass because it has the two parts. But yeah, and for anybody who doesn't know, Counterattack Mankind's the one that plays with the scene with Mikasa struggling, and then like the second half of that plays in the very first episode when you got the Servicor against that Titan. And those songs are in a few other scenes, but those are the ones that come to my mind initially. But to expand on the question though, I also really love like the track where Levi is against the female Titan, which melts into the scene where with the Berserker Eren theme or whatever. I love those, or I love that track. Call Your Name, and then like Attack on Titan, the self-titled one, that plays like when Reiner goes to break the wall, or Annie versus Eren, and Armin and Jean versus Annie, and Reiner versus Annie, or whatever. That song, I really love that. I love most of the songs in the soundtrack, but those would be the ones that come to my mind most. And then favorite Sawano song overall, I guess, I Counterattack Mankind, but just for the sake of branching out to some of the other series that he has worked on, I do love the Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress self-titled track, and like One Coma, Icon. I love those songs from that. Like Kill la Kill, I love Satsuki's little theme song, Before My Body Is Dry, or yeah, that's what it's called. The Don't Lose Your Way. I love that song. And what's the song called? Blumenkrantz. It's the one that Satsuki and Ryuko's mom, that song, like her little theme. I like that song too. And then Alias from Alno Zero. I love that song. And a couple others from that one. But yeah. Favorite songs though, Counterattack Mankind is easy winner. Oh, and The Dogs. I know you love that song, Leaping Titan. So I do really love that song too. I was obsessed with it when it came out. Mom Taku, again, what will you miss the most about Erwin? I don't know. I miss his presence. I really do. After rewatching the anime and just kind of realizing how vital he is, I'm starting to feel it. It's just like there's something missing. I don't know what it is exactly. There's just something missing, and it's very sad. Erwin was a badass. I think I'm gonna miss that because like dude was just willing to sacrifice whatever it was he had to do to get things done. Like my favorite scene with him is when he, he gets his arm bitten off, and I'm pretty convinced that he just lopped it off screen at some point and goes to get Eren. Dude's a badass, so I'm gonna miss that. Because he's just, I don't know. I'm so glad I rewatched the anime recently because I was getting to a point where I didn't appreciate him at all, and I just really appreciate him again. So yeah, now I'm already missing him. And then follow-up question from Anonymous, which I know is Mom Taku. Talk about Erwin, ... go. So I guess to just keep bouncing off the previous question, I don't know. He's a very handsome eyebrow man. I don't know. I'm actually not very, he's what's the term? Conventionally attractive. I generally don't go for that type. So everybody else who's like swooning over him, I'm like, I don't feel the same. I'm sorry. But it's a conventionally attractive guy. I love his eyebrows. I don't know what to talk about. This isn't very specific, Mom. I love the scene with him in chapter 51, where he's talking to Levi, and he's like, how many soldiers have I sent to hell, to their deaths? One arm isn't enough to make up for that. I'll pay off my debts in hell. Like that's such a good quote from him. I love it. I don't know. I started to feel really bad for him during the Uprising arc because you got his little backstory with his dad and how, he got his dad killed basically by opening his mouth, and now it's just his whole life is basically about making sure he wants to prove that his dad was right. He wants to learn the secret of the world. And at his core is kind of, a lot of his actions, when you think about it, are very selfish because he's just got this one goal in mind. But that also makes him relatable and very human character. Whereas, before we learned about his backstory and his motivations, he was just kind of like just this charismatic leader who just kills a bunch of people. A monster basically. And that's the anime definitely amps up the way they try to present him as that, with the filler scene. Where the soldier is saying that he has no human feelings at all because he wants to, say some of the soldiers are missing in action or whatever. But he turns out to be a severely human character. Like he's tragic. He's a very tragic character, and I don't know. I've gotten a lot more appreciation for him, in the last couple of months, especially. Like it's good. I took a little break from fandom because now I'm refreshed and very appreciative of him now. I'm really looking forward to seeing more of him in season 2. He's got some great scenes coming up. For anybody who hasn't read the manga, he's got some amazingly good scenes coming up. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm sad that we're not getting any more of him in the manga now. You can feel the presence is gone. It's bad. And then Ryoto Sorter, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, asks, what do you think happened to Armin during the time skip? He also has a Colossal Titan. 4 years plus 9 months time skip would leave him with less than 8 years to live. There is a post hypothesizing that Eren will crystallize himself during that 4 years to circumvent the 13 years limit. What's your take on this idea? What I think happened to Armin during the time skip? Probably nothing extraordinary. Maybe they've had him trigger his Titan to figure out what the perks are of him having it are. I could imagine that since they've done that with Eren, why not do it with Armin too? Otherwise, I don't think there's much that's happened. Just him getting older. Maybe he cut his hair. That would be kind of cool to see him with short hair, like in the canon. And then, do I think that Eren crystallized himself? I don't. He'd have to know how to first, which I don't know if he knows how to. I know he has the hardening ability, but we don't know how long Annie had that ability, and whether or not she learned to do that through somebody. I don't know. I don't think it's likely that Isama would have taken that route, and we don't even know for sure if crystallizing yourself does circumvent the 13-year limit. Be nice if it does, but I'm not sure. Yeah. Sorry, I can't answer that in better detail. I'm not really, I'm not really sure. I'm not good at predicting things. So yeah. And then Kenkin-chan asks, I can read through this here. What do you think of Annie, and what kind of fate do you think is waiting for her? Are you hopeful of her joining the Survey Corps at some point, or do you think she'll always fight for Marley? And lastly, what are your favorite relationships/ships with her? Okay, I love Annie. So, what do you think of Annie? I love her. I really miss her. She is such a good character, and she can have so much good development, and I really relate to her. Very closed off, very quiet. She's also, I've been told I look like her, so there's a bias already automatically right there. Actually, surprisingly, when I first watched the anime, I had already known that Annie was a female Titan because I spoil myself, but I didn't like her because she was a female Titan. I'm like, dude, you're murdering people. This isn't cool. But then when I read the manga, my opinions changed, and especially because that scene with her and Eren, which offers to teach him, she just seems like a very complex character. She is a very complex character, and especially after chapter 77, I think I grew even more attached to her because she clearly doesn't want to do what she's doing. She doesn't want to kill people. She obviously sympathizes with the Eldians in the walls. She's got a very complicated story going on, I think, and it would be nice if Isayama would bring her back. What kind of fate do you think is waiting for her? Well, either she's going to be in that crystal and nothing will ever get resolved, or, I really think if she comes out, she's primed for some kind of redemption arc. Maybe not full redemption, but, I could see her joining our main cast at some point. But at the same time, she obviously seems to care about her dad, because when Reiner asks, do you want to prove you're different from this defiled race? What about your father waiting for you back at home, or whatever he says? That is what triggers her to just go ahead and take Marco's gear. So I don't know. I feel like, but at the same time, I feel like her relationship with her father is kind of strained. So it's possible she could betray Marley. it's kind of a hard one to answer just because we haven't seen her in so long and we don't know her thoughts on anything, and it sucks. um, and then lastly, what are your favorite relationships or ships with her? My favorite one is her and Aaron. I just really love it and the potential it could have had, and like they have a really good like mentor, whatever, friendship, and her just he seems to be the first person that she opened up to initially. So I don't know. I really like them. I think they're cute. I also Armin and Annie. I love that just because they have a lot of angst potential and their interactions are very sweet. Like when he tells her that she's a good person and that whole thing. And she obviously seems to care about him and like him enough. She didn't want to kill him or anything. So, that's a very complex relationship. And I don't know if she spoke to him much when they were trainees, but what we are presented with in the canon is intriguing enough that I really like the relationship. I also think like Brew Annie is an adorable ship, although I don't know how strongly I feel about it because I think it's pretty one-sided on Bertle's end. But it's cute. Mikasa and Annie is great because there's so much tension, and like I like the rivalry thing, and I don't know. they have very similar personalities yet very different, and I just like I like the way they interact in canon, even if it's like a rivalry, and I like the potential of what they could be like as friends, or if we're getting shippy as lovers. So yeah, I mean those would be like my favorite ones probably. That I can think of at the moment. But yeah, I love Annie, so I guess that's a good note to end things on because that's my last question. So yeah, I just want to thank everybody who sent me something. This is fun. This has taken me a long time to record, but this is fun, and maybe I'll do it again sometime if you guys would want me to. Maybe after season 2 airs or sometime halfway through. I'm not sure, but yeah, thank you very much for sending me these questions. This is nice, and it's nice to interact with you guys. So please always feel free to send me asks because I love talking, especially about Attack on Titan. I'm very passionate about it. And yeah, I just thank you for everybody who's following me or anybody who's listened through this whole thing. I know it's very long. And you guys have a good day, and we'll catch up later. Bye.